What's up, y'all? Let's dive into this Terrence Howard, Joe Rogan thing. See what he talking about.
And you hit the bottom and you wake up.
Mm-hmm.
That was my first memory, but I didn't wake up here. I was inside my mother's.
See, right now he's talking about him remembering his creation or his entry into this universe, which, whatever.
You go to sleep. You wake up again. Now something's moving in front of you. And you're like, oh, that's my friend. But I had a different name for it. I didn't know it was my hand.
That part's hilarious to me. He's like, yo, I didn't know this guy. So I guess he's trying to insinuate that our hands are really our friends. And that they just somehow become our hands. Which,
And this, you want to panic, but you're flooded with like some serotonin and dopamine to where you feel relaxed.
which is really interesting, kind of. Because, I think everyone's looked at their hands sometimes and like wonder, how does this thing listen to me before? Not that I'm saying anything he's saying makes any sense, because it does not. But I mean, it makes sense. It's just probably more of a dream than anything.
9, and the proof of it was when my wife Mira, that you just met, when she was 6 months pregnant with
And he needs to leave his kids alone. I'm just joking.
my son Kieran, I wanted to prove to her what I was talking about. So I put a light on her stomach every day at 6 o'clock at night. And I would move that light back and forth, and I'd put a song on for a week straight. On Saturday, after a week, I didn't put the light there, and I didn't do the music. And he pushed up on her stomach. And then when I put the light there, he started following the light. And for the next 2 months, we did this every night, and he would go all the way around her belly, back and forth, always pushing on it. I didn't understand at the time that maybe I've interfered with the development process, and maybe he's wrapped the cord around his neck. I shouldn't have done all of this, but it came out wonderful and fine. And this little boy, first thing he wanted to do is see light. He loved lights from that early stage, and I can ask him the square root of 2, the square root of 5, the square root of that, the square root of pi, and he will run it off.
He's trying to say his. Sorry. He's trying to say his child was able to do the square root of pi. I would love just the tiniest bit of evidence of that. But. Okay.
To where he's just loving and wants everybody to be around him and care. But for me, that's where it started, in there. And then when I was about 5 years old, I had another dream. And the room filled up with like this fluid, a dark fluid. And I could see the ripples of it moving around. And there was a being there. And I remember being walked through that fluid with him. And I was trying to look up at him, and I couldn't turn my head to look at him. And he had his hand straight. I knew his voice, but I did not know who it was, but I felt confident and comfortable. And as we moved along this dark blue fluid path, with like chartreuse covering the, how when you look into a pool and you see the ripples, and if you're at the bottom of the pool, you see the ripples overlapping. That's what it looked like. And then when we got to the end of it, he said to me, if you could have anything in the world, what would it be? Now, we were really poor. My dad had just gotten out of prison, for manslaughter. I didn't have much, but I said to him, I want to know how everything works. And at that moment, he used his left hand and he opened up the door. And there was this mansion, big brown doors. And inside of it was this crystalline flowers, big crystalline flowers, like a giant, like 5 feet across. And every time I tried to see his face, he would reach in and hand me another shape. And I was so fascinated with the shapes because they didn't look like the platonic solids. They didn't look like anything I'd ever seen before. And he would hand me these shapes, and each shape was different and amazing. And I woke up from that dream. But after that moment, anytime something strange would happen in a dream, I had the powers of inception. Anytime I would be naked at school, I would say, I'm not naked. I must be dreaming. And immediately I would run out of the school or run out of wherever I was, and I would find that mansion again. And I had access to all the knowledge. The proof of it is the 97 patents that I have now. The proof of it is the industries that I've innovated. It's like waking up, having a dream that you have a diamond in your hand, and out of nowhere, you wake up and you're hoping you're holding it, and you try and hold it, and it's gone when you wake up. But the proof is all the stuff that I've been able to do now.
So all these.
I don't really. I'm gonna try to understand a lot of what he's getting into scientifically, and I'm not even against any science. I'm never not against science. I love it. Even a crazy hypothesis, I'm not against it. But I guess he has a new book, so that's what most of this is all about. He's trying to, get us ready for the new book.
These thoughts are from the time you were a baby. These are not things that you've learned. These are things that you had in your mind from the time you were born.
From before that time, because I remembered that I had been someplace else before. Now, what's interesting, that voice that I heard, that's my voice now. So it was like my greater self was leading me through, and periodically would show up again in other dreams. And I went off and became an actor because my mother wanted my little brother to be an actor, and I thought if I became an actor, I would get my mother's affection. It wasn't until my mother was dying, and I'm talking to her, and she told me the reason that she was babying Antonio was because he had asthma, and my father always had questioned whether it was his son or not because he looked so much like her family. And
all right, well, keep watching, of course, but I'm going to end part 1 of the video right here, just because I think part 1 can be a little shorter. But keep watching for the rest of the parts. But anyway, go ahead and like and subscribe on YouTube. Thank you so much.